Hello students, welcome to this EduSat English Teleteaching program. Today we are going to discuss the second part of the story, the inspiring story of your class 9 textbook, The Swimmer Who Does Not Need Her Legs. So, before going to the next part, let us take some minutes to discuss the things what we have already finished, what we have already discussed, what we discussed in the previous session, right. So, let us have a recap of the previous discussion. So, part 1 recapitulation, the swimmer who does not need her legs, and we have already completed 4 paragraphs. In the first paragraph we discussed who was Janki and how Janki, who was affected by polio and whose legs were useless, how she was able to cross the English Channel. And this is the topic, or this is the contents what we are going to discuss, right. And in the paragraph 2 we also discussed the idea of swimming English Channel. As a child, the idea of trying to swim the English Channel came to the mind of the girl, right. And she wrote a letter to the Swimming Association of English Channel, and the English Channel Swimming Association, they put 2 conditions we have already discussed, and the conditions were very difficult, challenging conditions, challenging tasks, right, for a girl, a small girl whose legs were useless, right. So, 2 conditions, one condition was to swim at least 10 hours at a stretch in the water, and the second condition is to swim marathon swim in the high seas with waves for long time, right. And in paragraph 3 and 4 we also discussed how the girl who was actually dreaming of a very challenging task which was unbelievable, which could not be imagined, even you cannot imagine this, and how she started her preparation and how she started her training in Bangalore, and then after Bangalore how she also took her training, did her training in the Arabian Sea or at Malpe, right, and how she also received certificate in proof of her efficiency, in proof of her staying for more than 10 hours at a stretch in the water. So, let us go to the next paragraph, that is paragraph 5. So, Janki then returned to Bangalore and sent her certificates to the Channel Swimming Association in England. When they gave her the permission to make the attempt, she had to start collecting funds for the trip. So, the government, a few private agencies and several friends contributed the money she needed for the attempt. So, my dear students, you see in the first paragraph we just that is the introduction opening paragraph, just like a play, and in the second paragraph we discussed how the swimming association put 2 conditions. In the third and fourth paragraph we discussed how she started her training, and this paragraph, after training Janki returned to Bangalore again to her original place, right, the first training place, and sent her certificates to the Channel Swimming Association in England. And this Channel Swimming Association, they also wrote a letter to Janki to make the attempt, and next thing is how she would go. She needed a lot of money, and even the funds could not stand as a bar in her way. You see, she had to start collecting funds for the trip, the government, a few private agencies, some organizations, and even some friends, those who were very close to Janki and her family, they contributed the money, you see, donated, donated. So, they donated, they gave some money, right, and she started her trip, how she went and what happened. Before that, let us see some comprehension questions for paragraph 5. When did Janaki return to Bangalore from Malpe? And the answer is very simple, after learning to spend long hours in the sea. When she was able to, after long practice, after very hard practice, when she was able to swim long hours in the sea, in the Arabian Sea, she returned to Bangalore. Right. Number 3, number 2, what did she do after her return to Bangalore? Right. And the answer is sent her certificate to the Swimming Association of the English Channel. Right. And next number, who gave her permission to make an attempt? The English Channel Swimming Association. Right. The answer is the Channel Swimming Association. They accorded permission to C.N. Janaki. And next question, question number 4, how did she collect funds for her trip? Right. She collected funds, you see, from the government, from some private agencies, and from some friends. Right. And let us go to see paragraph 6, 7, 8. These 3 paragraphs, they are very close to each other. So, let us take these 3 paragraphs as one SCP sense group passage. Right. So, paragraph 6, Janaki and her parents left for England in the middle of 1992. Right. When she reached Dover and began practicing in the English Channel, the Channel Swimming Association officials were quite shocked. This was the first time in their experience that a physically handicapped person was trying to swim in the English Channel. So, my dear students, Janaki and her parents, they left for England, they left India for England after collecting money in the middle of 1992 to fulfill Janaki's dream. And when they reached the Dover, they reached there and began practicing in the English Channel. They reached there and they arrived there, they started practicing there, and the association officials, the officers, the people of the association, they are quite shocked, they are upset, they become very much worried, this sad to see what happens. A girl being affected by the polio, legs are useless, now she is practicing in the English Channel and she wants to cross this channel. How is it possible? That is why for this they were shocked, they became very upset, they did not imagine what would happen then. Right. So, paragraph 7, they were very worried, you see inverted comma begins, they were very worried, said Janaki, and they kept a sharp eye on me during my training runs. I trained for about 3 weeks under the famous channel coach Stella Streeter, but when I told them that I wanted to make a solo attempt, they said they did not have a special boat to accompany me. This was in case I needed to be lifted out of the water. So, it was decided that I would be part of a relay team. So, 2 things, one is solo, another is relay team. Right. So, you just see. Right. So, they were very much worried. So, who were worried? Janaki said the officials, the English Channel Association officials, the people, those who were working there, they were very much worried, they were really shocked at looking at the practice of Janaki. Right. So, Janaki speaks, writes, you see this is the original version of Janaki, they were very worried and they kept a sharp eye on me during my training runs. So, when I was practicing, they were very much careful for me because they were afraid of my practice. Right. So, I trained for about 3 weeks there under the famous. So, you see the channel coach, the English channel coach was Stella Streeter. We have already discussed 2 persons, one is Mr. Gopal the coach of NIS, another person is Subban, Mr. Subban, and here you can find Stella Streeter. But when I told them that I wanted to make a solo attempt, they said solo, solo means single. So, they did not have a special boat to accompany me. So, they refused, they rejected my request, right, because they thought there must be at least to another special boat which would accompany Mr. C.N. Janaki, and so that if any incident takes place, then the boat will at least lift her out, would lift her out, right. So, let us go to next paragraph, paragraph 8. The channel swim can be done in two ways, you see. Now, the practice starts, the people were very much worried, and there were two types of swimming. One is the solo and the other is the relay swim. 6 swimmers form a team and they each do a minimum of 2 hours of swimming. This is actually the relay swim. Relay swim means how many persons? At least 6 persons they can form a relay team, and the team will swim. This is what we say relay swim, and when a swimmer swims individually alone, that is called solo swim. So, the association rejected her request to swim alone, and they gave permission to C.N. Janaki to swim with others or to take part in the relay swim, right. So, 6 swimmers form a team and they each do a minimum of 2 hours of swimming. Now, the other swimmers in the team, mostly Americans, were amazed to see the Janaki could swim, and to honor her they named the relay team Janaki's Maritime Express. Needless to say, every member of the team other than Janaki was physically normal. You see, solo swimming by one person only, right. In the solo team, there were 6 persons, Janaki was with them, and 5 other persons they were from Americans. And you will be very glad to know that the Americans, all other 5 members, they decided to name the team as Janaki's Maritime Express in her honor. एटा गोटे बड़ कथा से माने ए भलिया गोटे झील को देखिकी गोटे पोलियो अफेक्टेड झील को देखिकी से डिसाइड कले जे वर्तमान लेट्स नेम दिस टीम as Janaki's Maritime Express. Let's go to the comprehension questions to understand the passage better. When was Janaki and her parents leave for England? And you know, in the middle of 1992. Number 2, why were the officers of the Channel Swimming Association shocked? They were very much shocked to see that for the first time, first experience of physically handicapped person, they have never seen, right. And next question, what was the feeling of the officials? The officials were very much worried and they are also shocked at looking at this girl, right. And next number, who was her coach there? We have already discussed. The name of the coach was Stella Streeter here at the English Channel, right. And next question, question number 5, what did Janaki say to the officials? Is about her wish to make a solo attempt. She requested the officials to accord permission, to give permission to her to swim alone, right. Number 6, why did the officers of the Channel Swimming Association decide that Janaki would be a part of the relay team? Because yes, they did not have a special boat to lift her out of water. से माने भय कले जदि एकुटिया छाड़िबा तांकर स्पेशल बोट नाही तेणु काले किछि असुविधा हो जिवो ताको उठेकी आनिया पय देयर वाज नो स्पेशल बोट, दैट्स व्हाई दे रिजेक्टेड हर रिक्वेस्ट, राइट. नंबर 7, व्हाट वर द टू वेज टू स्विम द इंग्लिश चैनल? Those two ways are first solo and second one is the relay swim, the group swim, team swim, right, right. And number 8, how many swimmers form a relay team? We have already discussed at least 6 members. And who were the other team members? The other team members were Americans. And what was the name of the relay team? We have already discussed Janki's Maritime Express, right. And why did they name the team Janki's Maritime Express? Actually, to respect him, respect her, to honor her, right. And this is what we discussed in para 5, 6, 7 and 8. So, in para 5, preparation, submission of certificates and permission and collection of funds. In para 6, left for England and filling of the officials. The officials were very much shocked and worried. And in para 7, request of Janki for solo attempt, but failed, it was rejected, and the coach was still a streeter. And in paragraph 8, the relay team and name of the relay team. Two ways of swimming, one is relay, another is one is solo swim, another is relay, and the American members were there in the 6-member team, and they named it as Janki's Maritime Express. So, my dear students, let us go to question number 8. So, question number 8, how many swimmers form a relay team? So, we have discussed we have two types of swimming, one is solo swimming, another is relay swimming, right. So, how many swimmers? You see 6 swimmers, they form a relay team, right. And let us go to the next question, question number 9. Who were the other 10 members, sorry, other team members in the relay team? So, who are the other team members? The Americans. So, you will be surprised to know that in the relay team, one only CN Janki was the Indian and others they were from America. And what happens, you see next question, what was the name of the relay team? So, when the relay swim starts, usually they give a title, they give a name to the relay team. So, what was the name? Janki's Maritime Express, right. So, Janki was the girl with the 5 American swimmers, and the name of the relay team was Janki's Maritime Express, right. And next question, why did they name the team Janki's Maritime Express? So, what happens? Why they title like this? To honor Janki. You see, they were really surprised to see this. A girl without using legs, only using his her body and hands, she would swim. That was surprising for the Americans. That is why to honor her, to honor Janki, they titled or they gave a very interesting name in the name of Janki, Janki's Maritime Express, right. And let us go to paragraph 9. So, the unique attempt was made on 28th July 1992. My fight, said Janki, in the course of the swim was against nature. The channel waters are so cold that I needed much more energy than usual to keep my arms moving. Then I had the problem of my legs moving to the left or to the right, whichever way the waves were moving. So, I really needed a lot of energy. The water was very salty, and when it entered my mouth, I felt sick, and then there were the seaweeds and jellyfish. These fish kept sticking to my body, and I felt very uncomfortable. So, mind your students, the long waiting now is going to be fulfilled. Her dream, the dream of Janki is going to be fulfilled. So, the unique, this extraordinary attempt trial was made on 28th July 1992, right. And Janki said, my fight in the course of the swim was against nature. So, now you see Janki was fighting against nature, because the channel waters you see water, sometimes we use waters here, the sea water, sometimes we use the plural form sands for desert, waters for sea, like this, right. So, the channel waters are so cold that I needed much more energy than usual to keep my arms moving. So, there were many challenges. Number 1 challenge is the water was very cold. Number 2, I had the problem of my legs moving to left or to the right. The legs were useless, the legs they did not have any strength, that is why it was a very big challenge for her to move the legs. गोड़ गुड़ाक कम करूला तेणु से थंडा पानी रे गोड़ गुड़ाक मुवमेंट करने डाण को बाँ को इट वाज वेरी डिफिकल्ट, इट वाज ए वेरी वेरी चैलेंजिंग टास्क फॉर जानकी to move her legs to the left or to the right, and there were also waves, right. So, I really needed a lot of energy. The water was very salty. Another problem, another challenge was the water was very salty, and when Janaki was moving her hands, she was moving her body with the help of the body and the hands, she was swimming. The salty water entered her mouth and she felt sick, right. So, she became ill, she became sick, and then there were the seaweeds. So, seaweeds, jellyfish, the jellyfish they also started sticking, they started biting the body of the girl, right. So, it was very uncomfortable, it was not so easy, it was not enjoyable, rather it was a difficult task for her, right. So, let us go to the comprehension part. Understand the text or the question, this paragraph number 9. When was the unique attempt made? When she started her swimming in the English Channel, right, and it was on 28th July 1992, right. And the second question is, what were the problems for Janaki in her way? So, when she started swimming in the English Channel, what were the problems, what were the challenges? Many challenges, you see. Water was very cold, there were problems for moving of her legs, she needed lots of energy, water was salty, salty water entered her mouth, and there were seaweeds, it was difficult on her part to move her body, to move her legs in the weeds, and the jellyfishes they were sticking her body. So, these were many problems for Janaki at the time of swimming, right. And next question, question number 3, why did he become sick while swimming? We have already discussed, there was salty water, the water was very salty and salty water entered her mouth, and when salty water entered her mouth she felt sick, right. Question 4, how long did she swim in the relay? How much time did they take? You see, 36 kilometers channel they crossed. So, you just imagine a polio affected small girl was able to cross 36 kilometers, right, and it took 14 hours and 45 minutes, nearly 15 hours, right. So, 36 kilometers channel and 14 hours 45 minutes, right. So, we discussed paragraph 9 and we discussed some important questions for better comprehension, and let us go to the main points of these paragraphs what we discussed in paragraph 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, right. So, you see in paragraph 5 we discussed how Janaki started her preparation and started her training in Bangalore, then she went to Malpe, she had a very hard practice in Arabian Sea, and then she was able to receive certificates from her coaches, and then she submitted the certificates. Permission by the English Channel Association was given to her, and she collected funds, and in paragraph 6 you see we have already discussed Janaki left for England with her parents, and also in paragraph 6 when the association officials they saw Janaki, they were surprised to see him, they are shocked at the swimming when Janaki started practice there, and they are also very very upset, right. In paragraph 7 Janaki requested for solo attempt, but there was no special boat, that is why the attempt, the solo attempt or the request for solo attempt or swimming alone was rejected and she failed. Then she started her training under the coach Stella Streeter, and she was permitted to take part in the swimming in the relay team. So, paragraph 8 is about the relay team and the name of the relay team. The Americans, there were 5 Americans, the relay team consisted of 6 members, excluding Janaki. In addition to Janaki, there were 5 American members, and the American members, they were very eager, they were surprised to see her, and that is why in her honor they named it Janaki's Maritime Express. And finally, in paragraph 9, Janaki's swimming started in the English Channel, and how she was able to cross the channel, you know. Actually, she swim 36 kilometers channel, and it took 14 hours 45, nearly 15 hours she was able to swim in the channel. So, my dear students, I think you have understood the text better, and we will discuss the next part. We have paragraph 10, 11, 12 and 13, 4 paragraphs more to discuss. In the next session, we will discuss the rest part, and then we will do some activities. Thank you very much. See you in the next session.